patience in this very unusual start to the GDLN session, but we hope that you actually learned from the experience of Spain and in Europe and the challenges that they are facing as developed countries in terms of climate change. So it's not just an issue for developing countries. My name is Habiba Gitay. Many of you know me. We've talked and exchanged emails, but I'm playing the role of a facilitator and chair for this session. I am dealing with climate change and capacity development for adaptation, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to combine my personal commitment and professional responsibility within the World Bank.
Maybe just the challenges we're facing to give an idea of the situation in Uganda. Our water resources are all part of the Nile system, nearly all of them, and so they are shared with other riparian members. We have some large lakes and rivers, but the resource is not evenly distributed, both in time but also in space. So that is one of the challenges, that the resource is there, it may not be where the people are, and in some seasons you don't get any rain at all, and in others you get excess rain. That's one of the, and that frequency has now increased in the recent years.
That it's important to have political recognition and support. And it's also important to have a technical basis and understanding of what is happening and how it affects the system.
Before you move on to the drainage, let me bring in Tanzania.
Thank you very much. The more pollution and pollution to water resources has brought about the stresses on the rivers, which tend even to dry. And in some parts of central parts of the country is experiencing a drought, and in other parts of the country. But the government has initiated the decentralization process in the institutions so that they can manage these water resources in the sustainable manner, so that even other stakeholders are to be involved. Like in Uganda, we have also established the integrated water resources management professionals who are brought in to establish the system so that it can be employed even to other parts of the country, so that the water resources can be managed in the sustainable manner.
Can I move to Costa Rica? Because Costa Rica, you're a fairly wet country, tropical country, some different commonalities between you and Seattle.
In the Costa Rican case particularly, we have begun to see the Environment and Energy Ministry, which includes water, also has committed Costa Rica to carbon neutrality and also a climate strategy which has much to do with competitivity. So we are trying to focus our adaptation strategies to these aspects. We are also trying to secure water supply for many aspects of private industry which have big problems. For instance, banana production represents affects about 15% of the country's population. So any actions by these large industries will have a significant impact on those portions of the population. We're looking at this then, and of course, although we are nearly 98%, our supply is urban with good production capabilities, and the rest is in the countries. But this does not mean that we are safe or exempt from climate change effects.
I will also say a word about virtual water. Virtual water has a lot to do with trade agreements. And virtual water is one thing to be tackled very closely. That is to say that if agricultural goods are going to be exported at high scale, the virtual water and the shadow prices of water have to be kept in place. I mean, there's a need to be having a very sound financial approach to water. And having said that, please make sure you do not reduce artificially the water prices, because this is going to backfire at the very end. So this is one thing to be kept in mind. Do not play around with water prices and water costs. If you want to subsidize something, it should come from another portion of the economy, but not from water. If not, distortions that are going to be related at the end with climate change are going to backfire.
Uganda.
Yeah, thank you, Habib. I think one of the points which you touched on but didn't come out clear is capacity building, which is related to awareness raising. And maybe one which might not be tackled immediately is financing adaptation mechanisms.
Thank you, Uganda. Ghana.
My recommendation, especially with protecting water sources and river catchment areas, is to have a kind of benefit to the communities. I mean, the communities own those systems and they depend on them. So if there are pressures on them, then they will depend so much on those systems as to destroy them. There must be a way of paying back or enabling them to improve the systems once they get some benefits out of it, so that those systems continue to sustain itself.
I think that it's a wonderful opportunity to find and share innovative models of success. And I think the point was just made about creating a desire to move in the direction of this change rather than it being something that we fear and it's the unknown and we're avoiding it. What are some adaptations that are providing benefit to the community? The one example that I showed, people don't even know that it performs a drainage function. They just love it because it makes their neighborhood look better. They like it aesthetically. And I think that there are linkages to sustainability, to overall quality of life that these issues relate to, that perhaps create a more inspiring forward direction rather than being fearful about the negative impacts of climate. I'm being a little bit optimistic here, but I think that there are examples that can excite and energize people if we can find these models and share them. And I guess on the flip side of that coin is I think it's really important to understand what the barriers are. Are they, and they are many, but are they political? You know, what are the political barriers? What are the technical barriers? What are the social barriers? And then seek to design approaches and models that would help overcome those barriers and bring people together around solutions to redesign a framework so that we can get over those barriers. And they're probably unique and different in every case, but I think there's more richness of detail that could come out from the discussion that we just had from every participant in terms of really what does it take to take that next step. And so I think mining that out of the participants would also be a useful thing to do.
Climate change is a serious matter, and we have to be very serious about it. We have to have a very serious approach. But having said that, yeah, the first great spiritual thing is that we have hope, and that we are optimistic, that we have enough knowledge and capabilities to work out solutions. Now, that means to say that we need to be very careful to draw from the knowledge we already have and have innovation. I think that we need to have willpower, but we need to have courage, and you said that. We need to have education, but education is not enough. We need to have capacity building. I think that the thing that we have to change more in terms of climate change regarding our societies is culture, our cultural approach into adaptation and mitigation. And I would say one final remark. The best is yet to come. We need to be pretty sure that the best is just to come. We need to work very hard, and we need to work very close together among countries and share experience all the time.